Once upon a time, there was a nobleman who lived with his wife and daughter. The family was happy until the nobleman's wife passed away. He later remarried a horrid woman who had 2 daughters. The 2 daughters were mean to their stepsister, Ella, and constantly made her do all the housework. Ella had to sweep the cinders from the grate, so they called her Cinderella. One day, the king's son sent out invitations to a grand ball at the palace. The ugly sisters spent ages deciding what to wear, and Cinderella had to help them get dressed and brush their hair. There was no question of Cinderella going to the ball in her rags. When the ugly sisters had left for the ball, Cinderella burst into tears. "How I wish I could go too," she cried. Suddenly, her fairy godmother appeared. "Don't cry, child," she said. "Of course you can go to the ball. But first, we'll need a few bits and pieces. Get me 1 pumpkin, 6 little mice, 1 large rat, and 6 lizards." Cinderella couldn't think how a pumpkin and some animals were going to get her to the ball, but she did as her godmother asked. Her fairy godmother waved her wand and whoosh. The pumpkin disappeared, and in its place stood a beautiful coach. Then she waved her wand again. The 6 little mice turned into a team of handsome carriage horses. The rat was soon a rather fat coachman, and the lizards became 6-foot men. So now Cinderella had a lovely coach to take her to the ball. But she was still in her rags. Her godmother smiled and tapped her once with her wand. Immediately, Cinderella was dressed in shimmering gold. "Now, off you go," said her godmother. "But remember, at midnight, everything will go back to the way it was. So you must be home before then." Cinderella promised, then stepped into her beautiful coach. The 6 white horses set off toward the king's palace. At the ball, everyone stopped dancing as soon as the mysterious stranger arrived. Cinderella, dressed in a stunning gold gown, looked so beautiful that everyone thought she was a princess from a foreign land. Even her 2 stepsisters were fooled by her appearance and were as curious as everyone else. From the moment Cinderella walked into the ballroom, the prince was captivated by her and danced with no one else. By the end of the evening, he was madly in love with the beautiful princess, but he didn't even know her name. And Cinderella was equally smitten with the prince. As they danced, Cinderella suddenly heard the chimes of the palace clock and realized that it must be midnight. She cried out, "Oh no," and ran away from the prince, out of the ballroom, and down the palace steps, losing one of her glass slippers along the way. By the time she reached the bottom step, the clock had finished striking 12, and Cinderella was once again dressed in rags. The prince ran after Cinderella, but all he found was the beautiful glass slipper from the steps. He exclaimed, "Send out a proclamation. I will marry the person whose foot fits this slipper. We'll ask every woman in the kingdom to try on the slipper." So the prince went to every house in the kingdom, and soon he came to the house where Cinderella lived with her stepsisters. Of course, the ugly sisters were very eager to try their luck, but no matter how hard they pushed their big feet into the glass slipper, it just wouldn't fit. Finally, Cinderella came forward to try on the slipper. To the amazement of her stepsisters, the slipper fitted her perfectly. The prince looked up at Cinderella's face and recognized the beautiful princess he had danced with at the ball. He knew that she was the one he wanted to marry. So he married Cinderella, and unlike her stepsisters, they lived happily ever after. Thanks for watching my video. If you like this, then subscribe my channel for more story.